everybody. I'm back for a short video just to show you a few more watercolor techniques and to sort of end off this picture that I started last time. This is from Mandala Bliss Volume 3 by Jennifer Stay, and it's printed on watercolor paper. I've done some things and I've left enough to show you the technique for everything without taking too long on the video. So the first is I just colored these in brown, and I used the brown from the Classics watercolor palette, and I have my vessel of water, I have my paper towel, I have a size 6 brush for this here, and I am doing a wet on wet technique. So I wet my brush in the water, I wipe it off over the side, and because I want the point, I'm going completely vertically down with the brush there, and then I'm covering this whole shape with clean water. So I don't want puddles and puddles of it, but it needs to have a shine, needs to be wet. The whole shape needs to be wet. Just hoping this is on screen. And once I've done that, I have already taken some from here and put it in the palette on the side, just adding a bit of water to it. And then I'm dropping this in. I haven't wet this properly. I'm just spreading the paint over this whole area. Oh, I've gone onto the green. It's quite difficult to do it while I'm filming. I normally have my face quite close to the page because my eyes are very bad. I can't do that while I'm filming, so then I end up going out of the lines. So apologies for that. The paper is resisting the water. I'm wondering if I've got some hand cream on it. I'm just moving that bead of water up. I'm going to go into the thick paint and just drop some in around here. And I want it to bleed up a little bit, so I'm just going to lift my book for a bit and hope that I can encourage it with some gravity. Not really going quite as much as I wanted to. So I'm rinsing my brush off, dabbing it off on the paper towel, and then trying to encourage this along a bit. Get rid of the white bits of paper that are showing through. And my biggest failure with watercolor is that I worry it too much. I don't leave it alone to do its magic, so I'm going to just leave that. Now while that dries, make sure my brush is clean, I'm going to show you what I did on this little area. So if you're copying me, you may not want to do this, because I first used, and I have to do this here to do the same, I first used this, which is from the Marabou Graphics Aqua Pens, and I'm using this turquoisey color. They don't seem to have names on them, and I did this all over. Oh, sorry. Everything is falling everywhere today. I'm sorry, I feel very disorganized. But I want to show you exactly what I did, so that, and I need to do the exact same thing so this lands up being uniform to the rest of the piece. My plan was to be able to just move this watercolor and get a nice blend from dark to light, but it didn't really work. So then I went over it with proper watercolor from the Classics palette. So even though this is watercolor paper, I think I expected too much from these, or else I just wasn't using them correctly or something. I'm not sure, but it landed up with too many watermarks. So that's what I did, and then I used my water brush. That could have also been the problem. These water brushes are often, they have such so difficult to be sure just how much water you're getting out of them. And this now, of course, is not looking bad, but some of the others landed up with real tide marks, so I didn't like it, and I went over it again. So now it just needs to dry first before I can go over it again. All over the shirt and get this clean. Then to get this green, I decided to use the same blue I'd used here plus some yellow. So I mixed from here, I mixed this blue with this yellow, and then I kept adding yellow, bit more yellow, and then I wanted to get a kind of a pastel shade. So instead of going for the watercolor thing and just adding more and more water, I added white, which does turn the paint a little bit opaque, but it gave me the color I wanted. All right, and then I used that just in here, just like this. Sort of straight from the tin. Right. So that needs to dry. This is not quite right, so I'm going to go over the edges with a damp brush here and just move that paint up a little bit. This is just clean water on top of this paint to get it moving. There we are, it should be all right now. Now I want to show you how I did this sort of cloudy sky, which is for me one of the most fun types of technique to do with the watercolors, and it's wet on wet, done in a very loose way. So just using clean water and your brush, you wet the paper and you make sure that it's nicely wet but not too puddly. I should have really left that to dry. Trying to look sideways and see how wet it is. I actually don't want puddles, but I want it to be wet. Just drying off little bits with the brush. Oh gee, I don't want that there. Alright, so now having this all wet, I'm taking some of this blue and just dropping it in little bits here and there, all onto the wet paper. And certain areas that I want to be sure are covered, I'll go over. I want that. I want this to be. I think it's quite magical the way it just then does its own thing. It's, to me, watercolor can be a bit like a life lesson. Try not to control everything. See where it takes you. See what happens. And then make sure your brushes are clean when you're finished. And that's that done. Well, isn't it funny? I was busy uploading this whole entire video and took a photo to put on the thumbnail and everything. When I was looking at it and checking everything, and I realized, oh my word, I left this to dry, but I didn't complete it. So I'll complete this quickly and then I'll upload. So again, with my classic colors that I've been using all along, I just need to move my water to the side. I always forget. I used this turquoise, which is called Icy Blue. I've wet it. Always somehow or other end up putting it on the side. I think it just helps me get it into the paint brush. I don't know if it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. This paper is dry and I'm adding this. I hope it's now the same color. It's about 2 weeks since I finished this entire picture and I'm a little bit scared that this is now going to be a different color. I'd completely forgotten about this. So sorry. I don't know if any of you get sidetracked like that. I sometimes can't remember my own name. I get so sidetracked. No, I don't mean that. I can remember my own name, but you know what I mean. So I'm just trying to blend that in. The one thing one needs to take care with watercolors is to try not to get tide marks everywhere. This does look like the same color, luckily. I'm using a different brush now. Can you see what's happened to this brush? I need to buy myself a new one. It's a Princeton snap brush and all the varnish is peeling off. I don't know if I left it damp somewhere because the same thing, this is the size 6 and the same thing happened to the size 2. I want this to move down there. But again, in watching the upload of this video, it's very interesting to watch yourself work. I definitely overwork my watercolors. So I'm trying to leave it alone a little bit here. Very difficult to do. Okay, I think that is done. So rinsing the brush carefully. Checking that all the paint's off. And let me remove all the protective sheets so that you get a clean look at the image. And I'll remove that as well. And there is our completed image. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video and spending time with me. Thank you so much for watching my channel and for subscribing. Bye-bye now. Have a wonderful and colourful day.